Hey there, I'm back. I said I would do monthly, and here it is. We're in the middle of the first week of February, and I still have not recorded. My bad. Uh, I really don't even have any excuse other than I had been going through what we assume is an autoimmune stress related hive flare up, and so I had to go to urgent care and I got a steroid shot, and once the hives cleared, then I had all kinds of acne going on, and so I've been battling some health stuff. And I mean, not an excuse, but at least I'm here the first week of February. Today is February 6th, 2024. And so I'm here to update you on my progress on all of my crafts. So, first things first, let's talk about what my goals were for this year, like some of my goals. One of my goals had to deal with my husband's sweater. My husband had asked me to make him a sweater a couple years ago. We went to my local yarn store, the Modern Skein. He picked out some skeins of yarn from Red Stag Fibre. These were in Estate DK in a really pretty deep charcoal, almost black color called Welsh Slate. And he wanted a sweater out of that. And so I chose Locatelli's, what is it? Basic Raglan. It's just a straight Raglan type pattern. But we were concerned because my husband's 6'3" and he's a big guy. He was at the time wearing a 2XL. So we were concerned that I wouldn't have enough yarn. I even ordered more yarn from Red Stag, personally dyed. Like, it was a custom order to make sure that I had a little more. And even then, looking at it, when I finally got to it last year to knit up his sweater, we were very concerned that it was not going to have enough yarn. So we found something in my stash, a gray that had some little specks of green and some darker gray to it. And it was from Madeline Tosh, and it was a sport weight, but it was so comparable to the Estate DK that I just went with it and made this sweater that looks great. But once I blocked it, it grew so incredibly much that it was swimming. My husband was just swimming in it. It was gigantic. The sleeves were down past his fingertips. The waist was like down his thighs a little bit. It was just incredibly, it made me incredibly sad after putting all that work and finally doing it after 3 years. I knit it all up and I swatched. The swatch looked good. Everything looked good. It just grew like superwash yarn can. So one of my goals this year is to frog. It's to frog things. Thankfully, with my husband's sweater, I had not woven in the ends. I blocked it without weaving in the ends, and that made things so much simpler. But I did do helical knitting because it's all hand dyed, and it was dyed in 2 different batches. So I was really concerned that the color may have some splotchiness. So I had done helical knitting as I went around and around on his sweater. That's awesome. That came out fine. Like, no issues with splotchiness. But in ripping it out, it made for quite a challenging situation because it took both my husband and myself ripping out his sweater, and it took about an hour and a half total to rip the entire thing out. So with going through and ripping out his sweater, there are some parts that we got huge skeins of yarn all balled up, and then there are parts where I've got some of that gray, that contrast that I did stripes. I've got little balls of that. I've got little ones of the Welsh Slate from Red Stag. This whole container here is full of the little pieces. And then in a bag that I made from my Etsy shop, which right now is on vacation. I've had it on vacation for the past year. One of my goals this year is to get my shop back up and running. But I have in one of my bags so that I can make sure that I get to this sometime soon. I've got all of the balls of Welsh Slate all wound up and ready to go. I even have some of the smaller ones to re-swatch because my husband chose a different pattern. He has decided that he wants a cardigan, and he had some wants with a cardigan. He wanted something that kind of looks a little bit studious for him. I kept saying like a grandpa cardigan, and he was like, yeah, I guess. We looked at some cable cardigans, but cables eat lots of yarn. So we're concerned again on the amount of yarn, and I really don't want to order more. And I think we've decided not to do the contrast on this one because I think we're going to have plenty of yarn now that we looked at everything. So he chose this pattern here. This is a really pretty kind of timeless, simple cardigan called the One Cardigan from the Fibre company. And so we've already purchased the pattern and everything's ready. I probably will cast on a gauge swatch for this. I want to say probably later this week or maybe even tonight. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I definitely need to swatch, find the right needle size. My gauge has been kind of weird. I've always been a tight knitter, and recently it feels like what used to be is not happening anymore. So I definitely need to spend some time looking at that to see how things have changed. So that got ripped out. I did not rip out my Marettimo tee. It is still sitting in one of these cubbies back here in my yarn stash that is, it's organized, but it's not quite organized. I still have a little bit of cleanup to do because I've got, you can see right here, some project bags, and I've got some yarn that I bought at Fibre that I bought at Dallas Fibre Fest that you can see in the packages here, and I'm not even to the point of spinning yet. You can't see it up at the top, but right up here, I've got my project bag for my Marettimo tee, and then I've got my minis, and I've got more fiber up here in a bag with my spindle and just random stuff. So you can see all my sweater quantities of yarn are right here. All my singles are here. I've got some more just single skeins over here. This is yarn that I got from my friend Laura. This is mostly cotton and linen stuff, and I've got some ideas there. And this is mostly pure wool and minis and like some KnitPicks yarn there. So I've got plenty of yarn, and there's also yarn in front of me that you can't see that's in another cube shelf that is mostly my acrylics. So yeah, I need to do a little bit of organizing, but it's fine. So I didn't get my Marettimo ripped out. I will hopefully get that ripped out in May, and I'll be able to use the rest of that yarn to make me something, but we'll get there. So let's continue on with knitting. I definitely am going to start working on that. But let's go with something that I finished with knitting, and then I'll update on a work in progress that I've got going on with the knitting, and then we'll move into the cross stitch. So over Christmas break, after I had recorded last, I had this urge when I was cleaning up my craft room. I found a bunch of my acrylic yarn, and one of the bits of acrylic that I had from when I was using a knitting machine was a lot of retro stripe red heart super saver, and I was gonna sell it. And then I had this random urge that I wanted to knit one of my dogs a sweater. Now, my mom passed in 2007, but before she passed, just a couple of weeks before she passed, my mom had wanted me to knit her dog. She had a little miniature schnauzer. She wanted me to knit her dog a sweater, and we had gone to Hobby Lobby. And my mom, back in 2007, had purchased me a knitting book for dog sweaters to knit her dog a sweater. And so I've had this on my shelf since 2007, and I had not knit anything from it. My mom passed shortly after, and I wasn't able to bring myself to do anything with this, so it's sat on the shelf since then. And so it was time. It was time to do this. So I decided I was going to go with the basic pattern, which would be like what this miniature schnauzer here is wearing. But it would be with some of that retro stripe yarn that is neon and fantastic. And so I went with the pattern, and they don't have a whole lot of information. Like, this is just information on like sizing and abbreviations and things. So I'm not going to go into like the pattern, because even though the pattern is free online, it was a purchased pattern at one point, and I don't want to deal with any of those copyright things. So I struggled, y'all. I struggled with this pattern. I had the most difficult time figuring out what some of the directions were wanting, because this was not straightforward. It wasn't done in the round. It was done back and forth, and then you join it, and then you do something out. It was just crazy. And I'm not a beginning knitter by any means. I'm not advanced, but I'm not a beginner. I can read a pattern. I do brioche. I do lots of brioche. I can knit in the round. I knit lace. I knit all kinds of things. Pretty advanced stuff usually, because I'm a dive into the deep end kind of crafter. Like, I don't want to do just the basic stuff. I want to do the hard stuff. And so I always challenge myself to do that. And this simple little pattern here nearly broke me. It was absolutely crazy to me. And it got to the point where I was having so much problem understanding what it wanted that I joined a beginning knitters group on Facebook so that I could put the portion of the pattern that I was not understanding into the group and have other knitters try and direct me for what it was wanting me to do. And you know, that's the only thing that helped, was talking to some of these more seasoned knitters that were in the group specifically to help brand new knitters. So I've stayed in the group, and I've done a little bit of helping myself here and there when there have been questions. But it's just crazy to me how different instructions have gotten in knitting in the last 15 years, how more concise, especially with independent knit designers. Like, I tend to buy patterns from the independent designers like Locatelli and Renee Knits and Knit Graffiti, and I mean, all of these independent designers that I know and love. Stephen West, Max Sincere from Les Garçons, all these different knitters that put so much detail and effort into their patterns and testing them and making sure that there's notes there for you. I'm spoiled. And so that pattern book almost broke me. But I was able to figure it out. And I decided to use the retro stripe yarn, pretty neons, and also some black yarn for the collar areas and all of that. So I got to it. I did some fussy cutting of the yarn for the stripes so that it would match up as I went through. And at one certain point, I decided the heck with it. We're joining in the round and we're just going with it. And I just did the pattern to what I wanted. So got all the way through it and went to put it on the dog that I made it for, which was my smallest dog. And getting back to what I said before about my gauge, I did a gauge swatch. I was right on. And then I made my sweater and it was way too big for the dog that I had made it for. So it ended up going to my largest dog. And she wore it for about 24 hours when it was super cold. And then she was like, I'm done. So this is the sweater. You can see I haven't even finished with my tails. But it's kind of hard to see. But it's got like the little armholes and goes all the way back, and it has the ribbing down here at the bottom. So like I said, I did some fussy work under here. The seam's horrible. It's absolutely horrible, but it's just for my dogs, and I just whipped it together real quick. It was an absolute mess. If when I redo this, I'm going to figure out how to continue this just in the round the entire way so that there's not this gigantic seam right through the center. I'm just going to make it one piece no matter what. Maybe I'll do a different pattern. I know Stephen West has got some dog sweater patterns out there. That's pretty new on his Ravelry page last like year or so. Some of them seem a little much pattern wise, like some brioche and some other things, and I don't know if I'm into doing brioche on a dog sweater, but we'll see. I thought it was absolutely adorable. Maybe when it gets below 30 again, my largest dog Anna will want to wear it again, maybe, but for right now, she has rejected it. So it's going to go in the pile to wait for it to get cold again, which hopefully we've got another cold snap coming. We had a really nice cold snap that happened a couple of weeks ago. And we had some days off because of the freeze. We had a day off for that. We had a day off from school for some flooding issues going on in our district. So it's been weird between doctor visits and days off and things like that. This week will be my first full week of work that has happened. Had funerals, had health stuff, like it's just been a thing. So to be this far into the semester and still not have worked a full week, 5 days, it's been interesting. So moving on from here, still on knitting. The work in progress that I have been not working much on, I can tell you that, but working on here and there when I get the itch to knit after the sweater has been my, my Ponderosa. The Ponderosa tee from Wool.and.Pine is what it looks like. And I fell in love with this sweater when I was at DFW Fibre Fest. I found this on Instagram, like just, it is just gorgeous cable work. And, you know, I have plans for it. And I finished the cabled front back in, gosh, October, November. Like I flew through that. I wanted to do those cables so bad. And I got through the cables and they're amazing and wonderful and beautiful. Then I started the back panel, which is straight up stockinette, but it's back and forth. it's not in the round. This sweater's not done in the round. It's got like a drop shoulder to it. And I showed this in the last video. I've probably put 3 or 4 more rows, and that's about it. I want it. I want to finish it. So I am making my goal for February to finish this panel. By the end of February, I might be putting too much on myself, but by the end of February, that's what I want. I want to have this completed so that I can move on to the sleeves, and hopefully I can have the sleeves done by the end of March. That would be fantastic if that was the case. We'll see if we get there, but we're gonna try. I do not know what company this bag is from, but I do know that I bought it at the Modern Skein, my local yarn shop, and I love this little handle that's on the side so that I can, whatever I'm knitting, I can have this on my wrist, and I can have, you know, everything here. And it's got a drawstring, a nice sturdy drawstring that the yarn can still come out, but it's not in the way. So really like this bag for those instances. Even though it kind of looks Christmassy, I still love it. Okay, so that is knitting related content. So let's talk cross stitch, because cross stitch has taken over my life. I am the type of crafter that I go down, as Wool.and.Pine says, many a crafty rabbit hole. I sew, I knit, I quilt, I crochet, and I cross stitch. I love doing things like that. And even then, sometimes I also do things like, I have a silhouette you can see right over here. Sometimes I'll do t-shirts. I do a lot of things, and I've even gotten some fiber and a spindle. So hopefully at some point I will learn how to spin. It's not this month. So cross stitch has kind of taken over my world. And so I try to stick with what is speaking to me, what's making me happy in the moment. There are a lot of Flosstubers that have a billion projects. I am not one of those people. I only have a couple of projects, and they're ones that I absolutely adore. I have some goals related to those projects, but they're flexible goals because I know at any moment my taste in what craft I'm working on could change. So I have 4 cross stitch projects, and I use Markup RXP for my projects. I absolutely love Markup RXP. I use it for everything. I've reloaded charts that were loaded before some of his updates that he has put out, so that it can make sure symbols are correct. And I got the full chart view, kind of like what Pattern Keeper has. And I just absolutely adore this app. So 2 of my projects out of the 4, I didn't touch in January at all. I have not updated them. I haven't done anything. And one of them, I've got a pretty hefty goal for the end of the year. I had put down a goal that I wanted to be at, I want to say 30% by the end of the year, but I got sidetracked. And I have on another one of the projects, I have a goal of finishing the entire thing by the end of February, and I'm starting to get close. So I'm going to show you the 2 that I put 0 time in, and then I'm going to show you the 2 that I have that I did work on in January. So the first one, the one that's got the least amount done that I didn't touch, is the Grand Library from Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is the supersize max color, and I have not touched this since the summertime. Maybe in March, maybe for my birthday or spring break, I'll put some time on this. But right now, I'm just not feeling it. Like, it's beautiful, it's lovely, it's wonderful. But right now, it's not piquing my interest. So it's going in the pile of, I'll get to it at some point. So there's that. I'm doing that one. Oh, is it 2 over 1? I think it's 2 over 1. Yeah. 2 over 1 on, I want to say it's 25 count, easy count. Pretty sure it's 25 count, easy count. So the other one I didn't touch is my absolute favorite. Wonderful, amazing pattern by Heaven and Earth. And it is artwork by Rose Kahn. It is the Magic Library, and it is the out of print limited edition, the one with all the beautiful purples and blues and pinks. It's not the rainbow version. And this one, here we are. I do not want to take this out of the Q-Snap, so I'm not going to. But I have a goal to reach on this one of getting to 30% by the end of the year. I don't know if I'm going to make that. I'm going to try. But it is what it is. Right now, like, it got so monotonous for a while that I needed a break. I hit this hard and heavy in December, and I got a lot done, but I needed a break from it. So this is on 1 over 1 full cross on 25 count easy grid. I love my easy grid. Easy grid is my favorite. I don't like to count out my grid myself. It's just not something that I enjoy. I can do it. Doesn't mean I want to. So, yeah, so that one, my favorite, but I just haven't touched it. I just needed a break. So moving on from there, I'm going to then move into the one that I've been working on the most, because I really want to get this done by the end of February. It's my oldest cross stitch whip. It has a special place, special meaning to me. Way back when I first became an adult, back in my early 20s, when my mom was still around, when my son was just a little bitty kid. He was probably 1, 2 years old, somewhere in there. This was around the time that the internet was really exploding in the very early 2000s, and AOL was still around. That's how long ago, like, as a whole, like, operating system with dial-up. One of the things that spoke to me that I saw online very early on was this beautiful painting of this fairy. And this was around the time of LiveJournal. That tells you anything. And so I had a LiveJournal where you had to have an avatar, or you had to have something that was your kind of like your profile picture. And this picture, this painting just resonated with me. I saw it and I loved it so much. And so I used that painting as my little avatar, my little profile picture. And you can still find it on LiveJournal. Like, I found it a couple of years ago. I was like, oh my gosh, that was so long ago. So when I was just getting back into cross stitching, gosh, it's been almost 2 years now, I was looking at Heaven and Earth because I was following, I had watched Teresa Little Stitcher on YouTube, and I was watching her beginner cross stitch, even though I'm not a beginner. But I I was watching her series on beginner cross stitch stuff, and she said, you know, if you're wanting to figure out if you want to do full coverage cross stitch, then the best way to go is to do a story keep, and to go to Heaven and Earth Designs and look up story keeps and find one that really speaks to you, because you're going to want to work on it. So I went and I was looking through all of the story keeps, and I found that same beautiful fairy design from not Rosecon, Josephine Wall. I think I've been saying Rosecon this whole time. I'm so sorry. Josephine Wall. So I immediately bought that pattern. I started kitting it up. I found as much of the threads that I could. I went to the store. I went to multiple stores to find all of the colors. I bought floss cards to put them on. There's 90 different colors for it. And I started and I just went gung-ho on this. And I was going great until I saw the Rosecon Magic Study. And then I just stopped working on this. And so I picked it back up last year, and I have been just plugging away trying to do as much as possible. And I've gotten a lot done. So pulling it up on my Markup RXP. Let me pull up my January. So in January, I've got all my stats from Markup RXP. And in January, I put over 2,000 stitches. I put 2,040 stitches total in the month of January. So I have been working on this and trying to get what I can done. I am at 79.1% complete. And if I keep up at the pace that I'm at, I would complete this on the very last day of February. So I'm super close. I do plan on spending some time on this today. I haven't spent any time on it yet, but I will. And probably a little bit each day just to keep those numbers right. So without further ado, here's where I'm at. And so over the weekend, I think I stitched, oh gosh, let's see. No need to guess. I can just look it up because Markup RXP takes care of all of that for me. So over this past weekend on Saturday, I stitched 592, and this is 1/1 full cross on, is this 20 count or 22? I think this is 22 count. And you can see I had to draw my own lines. Not happy with that. There's some errors that I have to be real careful of, but I'm pretty sure that this is 22 count. So I did 592 on Saturday, and then Sunday I did 232. So I was up there. So far in the month of February, I've only stitched 3 days, and I've already hit 900 stitches. So that tells you how motivated I am to get this done. I really want to get this done so that I can get it washed, I can get it framed, and maybe put it like up on this wall or something like that. But I really want to get this done. It is a personal piece for me. It is special to me, and I really want it. So we'll see. Hopefully by the next time I record, I will have this done. And so the last thing is a completely new start. And I had no business starting anything new. Zero. But again, I am the type of crafter that if something is speaking to me, like to the point where I can't think about anything else, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to chase those dopamine hits wherever I can get it. Life is not always the most fun. Just personally, like this past month, family-wise, we have had 2 deaths in the family within 24 hours. They're extended family, not immediate family, but you know, where you find some kind of happiness in moments like that, that's important. And couple that with the start of the new semester and not a smooth start, not a smooth start. And there's just a lot. There's a lot going on. And then dealing with the health stuff that, you know, I mentioned before. So when I saw Heaven and Earth was getting ready to release a new Amy Stewart design, and I saw the design, Amy Stewart posted in her Heaven and Earth group, and she said, hey, this is coming soon. And I saw it, and I was just immediately in love. Immediately in love. You'll notice kind of a theme with all of my cross stitch patterns. They're a lot of fantastical stuff. The Magic Study, Iris Keeper, the Keeper of the Rainbows, the story keep that I have, the Grand Library with all the different genres of books, and you could see the fantasy part of that. So I saw the Grand Butterfly Ball by Amy Stewart, and she said that it was going to be released the first week of January, and just the regular chart. And I had to have it. As soon as it came out, I had to have it. I don't want another supersize or max color. I already have that with the Grand Library. So I knew I was getting what was there, because I've seen some other people do the regular chart for the Grand Library, and it's still gigantic, and it still has plenty of detail. And mine is going to take like 10 years, and theirs is taking like 2, 3. So, yeah, I had to get this pattern. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is gorgeous. And I so love this pattern. It is, oh, I can't even explain how beautiful this pattern is. So this is what it looks like. Just so much to it. So funny story. When it came out, I ordered it. And I could swear to you that I had a piece of fabric to start stitching on it. And I have so much floss that I have gathered over the years for the other projects that I'm like, I've got enough to get started on this. I've got the fabric to get started on this. I could just start it immediately. Let me go grab something. So I'm looking around my craft room, and I'm looking for this fabric that I know in my head I've got this fabric. I know it. I can't find it. I don't know what I did, but I had in my mind that I had another piece of 25 count easy grid. Never found it. Never found it. What I did find was a piece of what I'm pretty sure is 28 count, but it's not gridded. I had apparently gridded it myself with a water soluble pen for something else. Couldn't tell you what. So I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just use that. I don't need to have the easy grid. I will grid it myself. So I gridded it through. I checked the size. I checked versus the pattern, and it wasn't big enough. It wasn't wide enough. It was tall enough, was not wide enough. And so I spent about 12 hours just going through it, thinking, well, I could just crop the picture. I could crop off like 2 inches on the left side and 2 inches on the right side. It'll be fine. It'll be totally fine. I'm not losing anything for it, you know, and that means I could get started today. I'm only missing like 5 colors. I could get started today. And so I talked myself into that. And so I started. I did start to do the top left with the crop of that pattern. I'm trying to remember if this is actually the right thing. I think it is. Yeah. So I started it. I got that portion done. There we go. And then my husband and one of my good friends both convinced me that if I cropped this design, if I kept going, I would be unhappy with the result. I might be happy now that I had started it, but I would not be happy with the final result. And this is a project it's going to take years to get done. Like, this is not something that's quick. So I was told I should just go ahead and buy some fabric that actually fits the design in an appropriate way. So I got on Etsy and I ordered from a small business that I've ordered Easy Grid or Easy Count from before. And I decided, instead of doing 25 count, which I've done a couple times now, and I had done that on 28, it looked like, I decided, let's try 32. So I bought 32 count Easy Grid. And I have been working on that here and there for a couple days. And I am absolutely loving it. There's not much there. I'm in the top left corner and it's just a lot of blue and purple, like dark blues and purples, and can't see nothing. But I love it. I love it. I'm doing some modified Royal Rose. I'm doing 2/1. I don't even want to call it a 10 stitch. It's not a 10 stitch. It's more like a half stitch. And I'm just kind of going with what feels good on this. And so, yeah, 32 count. I am losing it though, because it is tiny, itty bitty bitty stitches. But I love it. So going along with that, like I said, I have a ton of floss. I went through the floss that I have for my other 3 pieces. I went through both the Iris Keeper, the Grand Library, and the Magic Study colors. I did a whole chart and I compared the 2, and I was only missing like 5 colors. I went to Michael's and I went to Hobby Lobby. I was able to find all of those colors. And I made the decision that, not with the Iris Keeper card, I'm going to leave those there because I'm so close, I don't want to mess around with that. But I made the decision that I'm just going to continue using all of the same, like have everything all together, and just use those same colors for everything. Like keep a whole set, basically, if that makes sense. So for my Magic Study, I had a big Jailer's keyring and I had floss drops. For my Grand Library, I had a big file box that had cards that had all the colors, but because there's almost 250 colors, it was just unwieldy to use it. You can see the file box is back here. It's empty now. So I bought more floss drops from Adam Hart Cross Stitch, and I put all of it together. I bought 2 more Jailer rings, and I spent part of the week last week and the beginning of the weekend, this past weekend, organizing all of them. And so I keep them in this big basket that my husband and my son got me for Christmas. Part of my Christmas gift was just a gift basket full of different things that I love. I think I talked about some of them in the last video, but it is the perfect basket to hold these rings that have all of the floss drops for basically what amounts to an entire set. An entire set. So there are 3. They're in order. I have the first one. This goes from 04 all the way to $7.99. And then the second one goes from 800 to $9.96. And then the third set goes from 30.12 all the way to $38.65. And then I have a crew at the end here. So everything is on these rings. I can use the same basket with the same colors, and I can just pull what project I want to work on at that time. Other than Iris Keeper. Those are still on their cards. But when I bought more floss drops, I didn't count how many more I needed. I just went with it. And Adam Hart Cross Stitch had, I've done this before where I'll buy her clearance sets. These are the ones that come in and they're just not up to her quality. And so there are some that will have, some of the floss drops will have maybe some scratches, or they'll have like a rough spot. Couple of them may be unusable, but she's not going to go through and pick and choose and all that. She just kind of puts a whole bag together of the ones that are just not up to her quality and gives you a supreme discount on it. And so that's how I had gotten most of my floss drops. You can see these clear frosted hearts. Absolutely love them. I love that they have the little area here where you can put thread that you've cut, but it's still usable. I love this. If I wanted to, I could use these as bobbins. They have that little notch there. And so when I bought these clear ones last year, even though they were the clearance ones that could have issues, there were not many issues. There were not many at all. I think maybe 3 out of a bag of 100 had a problem. So when I was going to buy more, I went straight to that section of her website, and I bought, oh gosh, did I buy like 350 sets or 325 sets? I don't even know. I bought 3 sets. I know that much. And I think it was less than $50 for the whole thing with shipping. Don't quote me on that price. I might be wrong. But after going through and organizing everything, now keep in mind, I haven't done the floss that's on the card for Iris Keeper, so I might have some that still need to go on there. After doing all of that, I still have a ton of floss drops available. And some of them even fell out of this bag here. Random. So these are wonderful, amazing. I highly recommend, if you are a cross stitcher, check these out, because for me, I'll show you, like on this one, you see how with the light you can see there's some issues there, like it's almost like it's etched, but it's smooth. Like it's not catching anything. There's not going to be any issue with this with my floss. So for that big of a discount, heck yeah. Like I've got a ton of these. They're ready to go if I need them later on. And I absolutely love floss drops. I have seen some people ask others, like, how do you use a floss drop? You got to take this on and off. No, you don't have to do that. Super simple to get these off of there. I'm going to use just a snag nabbit just to show you, but very easy to use a floss drop. All you have to do is take your needle, pick up one thread from the little knot there that you've made, and that's it. Pull, and you've got your thread. That's it. That's all it takes. So, it is super convenient, wonderful small business. I'm all about supporting small businesses. So definitely go check out Adam Hart Cross Stitch. If you do any kind of needlework, embroidery, cross stitching, anything where you use floss like this, check her out because it is worth it. And these are the 8-inch Jailer's key rings. I just got it off of Amazon. I think each one of these is like $11. I could be wrong on the price, but it's going to be somewhere in the teens. And it holds this perfectly. It has this at the top that just, you unscrew it and you can put them on and take them off. And with the Adam Hart cross stitch floss drops, the hole is big enough to where it'll go right over that. So it is absolutely perfect. So I highly recommend, if you are a cross stitcher, get those. And I just write on them with Sharpie. On the clear ones, I write in black Sharpie. And then on the black ones, I write in silver Sharpie. So they're perfect. Definitely get you some. Okay, I think, thinking about everything, did I get everything? I think I did. I think I did hit everything. So my goal for February is to finish Iris Keeper. I want to get that done. That is goal number 1. Goal number 2 is to rip out to frog my Marettimo and have that yarn set aside. Goal number 3 is to complete the panel on my Ponderosa tee. I need to finish that back panel. And then goal number 4, we're gonna call goal number 4 swatching for Michael's cardigan, the one cardigan. If I can do that, and if I can get in like 500 stitches on the Grand Butterfly Ball, and maybe 500 stitches on the Magic Study, I'd be happy. Health-wise goals. I have a goal for February to lose at least 7 pounds. For those that aren't aware, I had weight loss surgery back in July of last year, and because I have so many other health conditions, they tend to step in the way. And I went and checked in with my surgeon, and even though from the start of my journey I'm 100 pounds down, and since November 2022 I'm 96 pounds down from then, since surgery I've only lost, I think they said 47, and it was less than what they had thought. They had figured I would have lost 10 to 15 more. They've put me on medication for insulin resistance again, and you know, we're just working through it. Like I said, I've had steroids last month because of the hives and everything else, and so getting more active. I've been going on walks with my puppy, my German Shepherd puppy, and been trying to get to the gym, and I've been doing Couch to 5K again. My goal is to get my puppy running. We'll see if that works. She will be 2 in April. She is still very much a puppy. And so getting her acclimated to going on walks and things like that. So my goal is hopefully sometime this year to run a 5K. And so part of that is I need to be on track and losing more. So my goal by the end of February, crossing fingers, is to lose 7 more. It's tougher than I thought it'd be with all of the health stuff. Weight loss surgery is not a panacea. It is not straightforward, especially with bypass, when you have other health conditions. So I am really trying to focus on eating more whole foods. I have a dietitian appointment coming up on Thursday because after weight loss surgery and having my initial consult with my dietitian last year, after your surgery, you have 1 year to have another check-in consult for free. It comes with what you paid at the beginning. So I will be meeting with her on Thursday after school to talk about, what's going on. And my surgeon's office gave me a goal of having at least 2 vegetables and 1 fruit every single day in some form or fashion. So I've been focusing on doing that and eating more whole foods. And for the last week, I've been tracking everything that I eat. Everything that goes in my mouth, I've been tracking the calories. And even though I had bypass, and it bypasses the portion of the intestine where most of the calories are intaked and the absorbed. There's the word. It's still important to have those healthy habits. And I'm below my calories every day. I'm getting my water, I'm getting my protein. Fiber is a struggle. So I've been this week really focusing on that fiber number. My doctor has given me a goal of trying to hit 50 grams of fiber every day. I probably should have more, but 50 is a good goal. And like today, I've already hit the 50. So that's great. I have no problem hitting protein. I have no problem hitting water. Some days the restriction is restricting and some days it's not. So it's all about making those healthier choices, and I've been doing a pretty good job. Surgeon's office says everything looks good. It looks like I'm doing all the right things, and I just may be a slow loser because of all of the various health conditions that it's part of the reason why I got on this track to begin with. So it is what it is. I am confident that I'll get there as I keep getting active and keep logging everything. So there's my little life update. So yeah, I think that is it, you guys. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comment section. I'm happy to answer. And if you've gotten this far, if you could like and subscribe. I'm a new channel, and I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I absolutely love to craft, and I love to share about my crafting adventures and love to watch everybody else's crafting adventures. So if you have a channel that you think I should watch, especially if it's knitting related or full coverage cross stitch, because that's all I have and that's all I gravitate to. The only non-full coverage cross stitch that has even piqued my interest is a long dog sampler, and haven't gotten to it yet. Haven't even purchased one. So we'll see about that in the future. But if you know of a podcast or a Flosstube that I should be watching, leave it down below for me so that I can check them out, because I probably watch YouTube more than I do anything else. I love it. I love crafting along with everybody. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks for stopping by and watching, and I hope you have a wonderful February, and I will see everybody either the last day of February or early March, and I'll update you on whether I make progress on those goals. Bye.